an attitude of gratitude shifts us and takes us to the place where we belong. That place of love, that place of joy, that place of peace. And we're excited. Well, I'm excited to see you. Good morning. Good morning. So now you notice that we've configured the sanctuary a little differently, and we were able to add a little bit more chairs. So it's a little bit more chairs in here than we normally have, but they're all equally distanced, 6 feet, a lot of homework. But it gives you an opportunity to sit with anyone that you feel comfortable sitting with. So I'm glad that we were able to do that for you. Thank you. Thank you. And so why don't you take a moment and greet each other first? And good morning, namaste, namaste to each and every one of you. It's always so wonderful to see you. This day is such a beautiful day, isn't it? It's the day I woke up this morning full of, I heard yesterday one of the prayer chaplains say resurrection energy. And so I'm kind of filled with that resurrection energy this morning, and I know that you are feeling that as well. So welcome. For those of you that are watching us for the first time, let's turn around and just wave at them. Hello, YouTube family and Facebook family. Thank you for being with us this day. You know, it's so interesting. Michael was able to print out for me some details about, the statistics of Facebook and YouTube, how many people are watching, and I was shocked. We're having audiences from India and what were some of the other foreign countries? Anyway, it's a couple of other countries that are way out there that we weren't expecting. So really wonderful that we have this opportunity, this medium, to be able to broadcast our unity service to the world and know that we are able to help transform lives. So I'm grateful for that. So I want to get into the service today because I'm really excited about what we have created today, and we know that creation comes because all of us are praying throughout the week. And there's this sweet energy that comes together and helps us to be able to be divinely guided to what is being offered. So Unity of Citrus, if you're watching for the first time, is a loving, spiritual, positive path for living. And our mission here is to create a loving, healing, spiritual community. And I don't know how many of you know, or those of you that are watching on Facebook or YouTube, there is someone in our service, every single service, there is someone in our service who prays the entire time. That's their goal. We call that they're holding the high watch, okay? And so this week's high watch person is Lydia Valentine. Yes, and so and she sits in the back of the room. They always sit in the back of the room because actually when we do meditation, they actually get up and hold sacred space for us. So isn't that amazing? That we have someone doing that every single Sunday. And then that person after service goes to the prayer box and takes any of the prayers that are there and begins to make calls. So in your seats every Sunday, we leave a little purple slip. And if you want prayer, if you want that high watch person to call you in the afternoon and pray with you, then you simply fill out that purple slip and you put it in the prayer box that is right in the back of the room. And if you're watching online and you're not able to put your prayer request in the prayer box, then you call the office. And Denise is so gracious. I tell you, everybody give Denise a wonderful round of applause. Because Denise will take those calls and she will direct them to the prayer chaplain. So know that this special time that we're together is held in sacred space. So without further ado, I'm going to invite you to join me in setting the intention for this morning by getting yourself really comfortable. And just take a deep breath with me. And let that go. And bring to your awareness right now in this space, in this moment, at this time, the infinite presence, the force that holds all things together and from which all things are created, is right where you are. Bring that to your awareness. For where you are, it's sacred. We stand on holy ground. We are God's beloved forever, forever, and forever, held in grace and love, given everything that we need for the human experience. Within you is everything. The universe is within you, and you are the power right now and always. For that power that is everywhere present is right there with you. What an amazing mystery this is. So we acknowledge that. We acknowledge that we are with the ground of our being. And in it we move and breathe and have our being. And so we enter these moments with an attitude of gratitude for knowing this truth. We enter these moments knowing that the present moment is the most powerful moment there is. So we let go of everything. We let go and we get into this flow of being in the oneness with one another and being one with God. And so we are so grateful for this understanding that Spirit has illumined in our mind. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. And so today, with open hearts and open minds, we are ready to receive. And we will receive and give, because as we leave this place, we will not be the same. We will be restored and renewed and refreshed, and we will be able to give from the fountain that has been pouring through all the fullness. Our cup is filled, and we can give unto the world the love and be the light that we have come here to be. And so we say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. So you join me in saying the affirmation of oneness this morning. There is one power and one presence in the universe and in my life. God the good, all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present, right here, right now, God. Namaste.
Good morning. Oh, that's pretty. One day.
Yes.
Good morning. It's been a while since I've been here, and I am honored and I feel blessed. I'm blessed all of you are here too. Thank you. Thank you. What is our intention for today? Gratitude. Gratitude. So if you'll take a moment just to relax, sit back in your chair, kind of feel the weight of your body on your chair, feet flat on the ground. Gently close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Take a deep, deep breath. As you feel the breath enter your body, allow yourself to feel the gratitude of the breath of life. Relax and connect with your breathing, which should feel calm and easy. Take another deep breath and exhale. As we set this intention for this day, which is still new and unfolding, say to yourself, I will go about this day with thoughtful acts and blessings, both great and small, extended towards not only myself, but towards others. I humbly notice the aspects in me that allow me to live my life whole. I recognize the love my life holds. As I go about this day, I look for opportunities to share with others things about them that I am grateful for, without any expectation of their returned acknowledgement. I understand this day may hold challenges, and if these are things I cannot change, or maybe choose not to change, I choose not to let these events cloud me to honor all of the beauty in my life. Say to yourself, I recognize the love my life holds. As we take a moment to enter in the silence of gratitude. I recognize the love my life holds. As we come to the end of our meditation, feel the gratitude well up inside your heart. I begin my day with my eyes wide open to life, open to the ability to have presence of mind, and the ability to feel the grace within me. Gently open your eyes and begin your day with all the beauty of God within. And so it is. Namaste.
Wow, that was such a beautiful meditation, Rhonda. Thank you. Sometimes, we go so deep, we just want to stay there, And what a beautiful, beautiful meditation. So, are you ready to get into know about the hallway? Because I'm going to welcome you to the hallway. What in the world am I going to do today, you must be wondering. But I'll tell you that we're going to start a brand new series. Those of you that read the Weekly Wake Up know that I'm starting a new series that's based on the book by Ellen Davenport that is called Hell in the Hallway, Light at the Door. And that's a kind of strange title. And so when that title captivated my attention, so of course I had to read it and realize that this is a great book for us right now, because this is about helping us to navigate during transition. And there's so much change. And we all have to agree that there's been tons of change, especially during this time when we have had to go through this pandemic experience together. And so, right now, some of us may be going through a transition time where it's feeling a little bit difficult to be in a space where we are feeling the joy and the peace and the love and all those things that come as a child of God. So the hallway, in this couple of weeks, we're going to explore together, based on the insights from the book. We're going to explore, what kind of hallways are there, and what spiritual practices can we apply to help us move through these hallways, and how can we create what we want behind the next door that is waiting to be opened. When I was a little girl, we lived in a 6-family house, and there were apartments, up and down the 3rd floor. And my parents, and there were 8 of us, okay? So my parents decided they would rent all the apartments except one. That was our home, and it had 4 rooms, and it was pretty tight in there. And guess where I would find myself a lot? In the hallway, because it's my little place to escape and play and be by myself. So the hallway is quite an interesting place to be at. In this case, hallways come because life changes. Events come into our lives that are sometimes welcomed. We want them to happen, and sometimes they are not welcomed at all. Some of them are coming, and we know that they're coming, but others are unexpected. We have no clue that they are going to show up. Some of the changes that happen in our lives we initiate, and other changes we have no control over those changes that come into our lives. And what we know for sure, that everything under the sun has a beginning and it has an end. Everything changes in this realm. And we can easily say that change and possibilities kind of are like our faithful companions on this journey. They're always there. There's change and there's always possibility. So what we know is when change comes, many times a door gets closed, period. And some of those doors are closed very gently and slowly, a little bit at a time. And some of them are slammed shut with a thunderous sound. Do you know what I mean? Get closed, and you know that you cannot walk back through that door, and you're left in a space that feels uncomfortable and unfamiliar territory. Don't know what you're supposed to do, and there's confusion and fear and all kinds of emotions that are surfacing. When one door closes, another one opens, but it can be hell in the hallway. You get what I mean? And this is what she's talking about. She says she heard that phrase first from her mom, who went to a convention, and she heard a speaker say it, and she came home and she said it. She says, I never forgot it, because that is so very true. Whoever said those words first had a real clear understanding that what it would be like when change comes and closes a door, and you don't know what's coming next. You don't know. And you have to be in that discomfort. You're left in this place that is the hallway, a time of transition. But in that time of transition, something really special is happening. You are going through some transformation, and it's sometimes very challenging to be there. There's a lot of emotional pain that comes with being in the hallway, and it hurts like hell. It does. I can tell you from my own experience when Danny died. He was a beautiful 10-year-old little boy, full of life. Got diagnosed with leukemia, and 8 months later, most of you know the story, he died. He transitioned, but I didn't know then what death really means. It's 27 years ago. But at that moment when I knew that my little boy was not going to be with us anymore, that I would never again be able to hold him or see him or hear him or be a part of his life, the emotional pain that I felt was beyond description. It felt like I was being tortured. And the hole in my heart felt like I would never, ever, ever be able to mend it. That door that once was opened was now closed forever. And my life as I knew it changed. And believe me, I could not see any light at that hallway. It was dark and unfamiliar. And death does that. When someone transitions, the door definitely closes. You can never go back to doing and being with the person in the physical as you once were. And we know in Unity that life is just a journey, and that when this life ends here, we just move on to another journey. But I did not know that then. And there are other experiences in our lives, other events that come and cause our world to be turned upside down. Things like a divorce, or an illness, or an accident that leaves us with limitations in our bodies, or the loss of a job that take away our financial security. But then there are changes that are kind of welcome, like the change of a birth, or getting married, or a child going off to college. It's still a change. It's still moving you from the life that you knew into something different. And it can be hard to navigate through those times. Look at us right now with the pandemic. That changed so many things. Life changed from the way that we knew it. And doors will be closed forever. Some not yet, and some maybe never, but some will be closed and have closed. And so now we have to figure out, how do we do this? How do we move through this experience, knowing the truth that we know? I read a sweet little story about a Zen master who went to New York City, and he ordered a hot dog from one of the hot dog vendors. And he said, give me one of those with everything on it. And so the vendor went and he put everything, prepared the hot dog and gave it to the Zen master. And the Zen master paid him with a $20 bill. And the vendor took the bill and put it on inside the cash register and went ahead to do his little things. And the Zen master said, sir, my change? And the vendor said, change comes from within. But there's so much truth to that little story. I said it's so true. Change comes from within. When we find ourselves in these hallways, well, there's so much inner spiritual work that gets done, whether we realize it or not. We're almost akin to, the hallway is almost akin to the caterpillar that goes into the cocoon and emerges different, changed, transformed. And so what happens is that when we're there in that hallway experience, we're working through accepting what happened. We have no choice. We're accepting what happened. And we're trying to unwrap the gifts, because there is a gift in it. Believe it or not, all things are working all together for our good. So there is a gift somewhere that came with that unexpected change. And somewhere in the hallway, we realize it. What is that gift that came that I was able to grasp? Sometimes the gift is simply appreciating life so much better, becoming more alive to what you are, and having an attitude of gratitude, and really having it. Sometimes it humbles us, and sometimes it makes us realize that we're stronger than we have ever imagined ourselves to be. And in that place, we also begin to reimagine what is going to be the next phase of my life. What is it going to be like moving beyond what I just experienced? That work is very transformative, but it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And there's no formula for moving through it. We will move through this hallway experience at our own pace, at our own time. We'll take our own time and we will do it in our own way. No one can tell us how to do it because the inner work belongs to us alone. And no one can go into that inner sanctuary but you. It's a very, very sacred time in our lives when we are in the hallway. Davenport says that the hallway is marked by a definite door closing, an unmistakable shift in circumstances. It is a change that initially might beat you down, but eventually will call you higher. And you get to see from that place, that higher place, so much more clearly why you're here and how much you are loved. And sometimes the hallway experience can be short. You're not there that long. Like for instance, like when you go to the doctor and you have some test result, you have some tests made and now you got to wait for the results, But boy, it's not a long time that you're waiting, but you're kind of feeling like, oh my God, the stories that we create while we're waiting, right? The fear, the thoughts like enter our mind. The experience can be really intense even though it's just possibly a week. Your mind can create all kinds of sort of awful scenarios. And like it happened to me last year, so in the early part of last year, I was experiencing a lot of really severe headaches, and I couldn't figure out, why was this happening? And I go to the doctor, and they did all kinds of tests, and one of the tests that they did was a brain MRI. And talk about stories. A week that I had to do a lot of spiritual work of releasing and letting go and being in the space and affirming the truth that I know that no matter the outcome, where I am, God is, and all things are working all together for my good. So even in the short hallways, we do the spiritual work. We pray, we meditate, we use our spiritual tools as we've been learning in unity so that we can remain centered and live the principles that we know. Sometimes the hallways are endless, really. The door closed and the circumstances that you're in will not change. Example, you have an accident and your spinal cord has been injured and you're paralyzed. It's very likely that you will never be able to go back to how you were before. And life for you is altered forever. And every single day you have to deal with this reality. So you're kind of like in an endless hallway. And you need more strength and more emotional stamina and compassion and patience to be able to accept what is and to be able to know that you are not alone in it and that you are a gift exactly the way that you are. There are no mistakes, none. There is a divine order. And so, in that place, you are required to really be close to the truth that you know. The spiritual work there is a lot of surrendering and trusting that all things will work altogether for your good. And then there are those inner hallways, the ones that we are called to because we have these questions like, why am I here? I should have been gone a long time ago. I asked that question myself when Danny passed. I said, why did I stay? I had the inner work I had to do. Why am I here? What's my purpose? Who am I really? And so that's an inner work. It's another time of surrendering and releasing and deepening and connecting and even having purification of the dark night of the soul that takes place when that's happening in our lives. And then, this is for us. Then there is the hallway experience where we get pulled in all together. Boom. We're in the hallway together. And if you're in the hallway together, there might be some bumping and rubbing and something that doesn't feel like you have your space, or you're not as comfortable as if you were all by yourself in that hallway. So when a group of people are plunged into the hallway together, you are transforming and transitioning, not only collectively, but individually. Each one of us are doing this together. There's a beloved minister. I love her. Rhonda knows her well as well. Kelly Iselov is a minister at Unity in Kansas City. And she's one of those transitional ministers. And there was a Unity church that was destroyed during a tornado. And she was sent there to be with them, to be able to help them through recovery, go through the recovery process. And this is what she said about being in the hallway with them during that time, all of us together. And she says that in that place you saw the best of people and you saw the absolute freaking worst of them. Her words, okay? But I can relate. We see the best and the worst, but that doesn't take away the truth that we are one. It doesn't take away the truth that we are made of love and are love. And so we learn to support each other and love each other through it. And we deal with whatever issues we have so that we can do that. That's the spiritual work. Davenport says that when the future is uncertain for a whole group of people, their needs, desires, and reactions to the stress surface individually and collectively. That does not take away that they are a child of God. They're working through it. And so we need to be able to tap into more compassion and more patience and more understanding. We'll be able to use the wisdom that God will give us. That is not God will give us. We have it. Because where we are, God is. So the understanding, all those things, we tap into our spiritual powers so that we can be able to support one another. So we won't necessarily talk about the spiritual work this week. We'll talk about the spiritual work more next week. But what is common in the hallway experience is that there will be a lot of emotions there. The feelings that you're going to feel do not have to be logical. Don't have to be pretty. And they don't have to be justifiable. Not at all. We tend to want to label our feelings as good or as bad. They're nothing but just feelings, not good and not bad. And those feelings are really, will keep surfacing because they're clamoring for attention. That's how you soothe them, when you actually pay attention to them, when you're actually able to feel them. And that's scary. We don't want to feel our feelings. Talking about our feelings is not the same as feeling them. And so many of our problems are created because we don't want to feel them. We want to repress them or deny them or numb them. And we have so many ways of doing those things because it's hard to sit with our feelings. It's discomforting to sit with our feelings. In the book, Ellen Davenport says that when she became a minister, someone gave her a little advice and says, learn to be in discomfort because you will be in discomfort always. And I can say, whoa, is that true? Learn to be in the discomfort. Learn to work with it. Lean into your feelings. Feelings are an energy that wants to move through you. It doesn't want to stay there. And if you deny it and you don't acknowledge it, it will remain like a little child. You know, I remember the other day somebody was calling me and they called me several times. I didn't hear and I realized, oh wow, this feels like when I was teaching in 6th grade. Miss LaCour, Miss LaCour, Miss LaCour, Miss LaCour, Miss LaCour, Miss LaCour, Miss LaCour. So it's the same thing with the feelings. Unless you acknowledge it, it will keep gnawing at you. And so you have all that you need to be able to do that. I'll go back to Danny. When Danny transitioned, one of the things that I was experiencing was a terrible rage. I was angry. I was angry with God, the God of my understanding back then. Totally. I had felt that I had done everything right. I had prayed, I had fasted, I had done everything right. Boy, such pride, right? Such pride. I begged and I pleaded that God would heal our son, and when that didn't happen, I was angry, incredibly angry. But I was afraid to feel that, because I had never been that angry before. I was afraid. So I would depress it and not want to talk about it. And then one day, I was alone at home, and it just came pouring out of me. Oh my goodness. If anybody had seen the videotape of that moment, it would say, well, she lost her mind. But I was crying and screaming and throwing things and punching pillows, and I was so angry. And the things that I said, this conversation I had with God out there, were not pretty. But when I was done, when I was absolutely exhausted, I'm not kidding you, I was so exhausted. I was sitting on the floor, tears flowing down. They're coming down more gently now. They weren't the howls and the screams anymore. And I felt like I had emptied myself of that anger. I let it out. It came out. And in that empty space, what I felt was a flow of divine love, a reminder of the truth that I didn't quite understand totally, that where I was, God is always going to be, and that my good is always mine to have, and that out of the ashes, beauty can be born. There was a loving presence that I felt was there. I just felt, and I melted right into it. It was almost like, warm honey. When you're not feeling good, you take a nice spoon of honey, and it kind of makes it feel a little bit better. Your sore throat is not feeling as bad. And so sometimes allowing yourself to lean into your feelings, to breathe, and allow. Breathe and allow. No one's judging you. No one. The feelings are not good or not bad. You're just letting them move past you, so that the spaces that they leave empty get filled with the grace and the love of God. Sometimes people who are on the spiritual path probably have the hardest time releasing their feelings, because we believe that we want to do good. We want to transcend. We're child of God. I don't get that kind of stuff, We want to transcend those feelings, And so Davenport says that we breathe and we om our way through life. Om. Through life, while neglecting the howl, the pain. That shows up every now and then. We bury the feelings in spirituality. Burying them in spirituality is no different, she said, than distancing ourselves with busyness or addiction or keeping a stiff upper lip. Why bother on earth? Why bother being on earth if you want to avoid the human experience? Remember, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So embracing it all, the Alpha and the Omega, all of it, is what we're here for. Here's what happens when we begin to judge our feelings. When we feel bad about feeling bad, whatever, about feeling lousy, we start to say things like, this is right from the book, she says, I am sad, but I should be over this by now. I'm just so weak. Or they'll say, I'm angry, but I'm probably being unfair. I'm a terrible person for feeling this way. And I hate this situation, but I feel guilty and I'm ashamed of myself for being so petty and selfish. You see what's happening there? We're feeling bad about feeling what we're feeling, rather than just allowing the feeling to move through and leave us with the gift that is brought to give us. Allow the feeling to go through so you can make the space to let divine love fill that hole. There's a story in the book about a woman called Mirabi Starr. She's a spiritual author. And she wrote, her first book was about St. John of the Cross. You ever heard of St. John of the Cross? Anyway, she received a shipment of her new book. And she was saying to herself that, how excited it is. It must be exciting when you're an author and you get your first shipment of books. And that very same day when she received the shipment of books, she also received a phone call that her 14-year-old daughter had been killed in a car accident. The very same day. And Starr said that she entered a time of radical unknowingness. The worst hallway imaginable. Yes, she was determined, I'm just going to read it right as it is from the book. Yes, she was determined to experience the horrendous emotional pain, no matter how painful her feelings became. She vowed to her daughter that I am going to honor you by not turning away from the grief. She was racked in remorse and had feelings of terrible guilt as a mother. But she learned to lean into the pain a little bit at a time, allowing it to come out a little bit more. She did it, she says, almost 100 times a day I found myself leaning a little bit into it. She dropped all the expectations and idea what was natural and appropriate for her at this time of life. Just let it go. And she began to face the impossible and not only allow it to be true that her daughter was not going to be with her anymore, but to give thanks in it. She arrived at a place of gratitude. And so she wrote these words: to praise God for all of it, the sweet and easy moments when divine love pours inexplicably into the broken heart like warm honey in a cup of tea. And the far more common moments of unspeakable agony when I realized yet again that my brilliant daughter will not grow up to be a healer that she envisioned herself to be. That girl would never finish blossoming into the woman she was becoming. That the difference of fascinating personality that was my Jenny had been snuffed like a flame, plunging my own life into darkness, and then arriving to give thanks for all of it. How powerful is that? Gratitude is where we finally are able to land and see the light at the next door opening. And it goes beyond positive thinking. It's about opening ourselves to the full spectrum of pain and sweetness that life brings us. And so we all have whole experience, and if you haven't, you will. Maybe you're having one right now. I encourage you to take time, quiet time, by yourself, and allow yourself to sit with the discomfort. Ask Spirit to help you feel what you're feeling. The place where we are now has already been circled on the map by God for us. That's a quote from Hafiz. You're never alone. God is always where you are. There is a power within you that is greater than anything that you are going through. And you can trust it. You can let go and allow yourself to be held by divine love and feel what we need to feel so that we can heal. I'll end with this idea. There's an image in my mind just now that popped up. There's a tree in a beautiful park, Zion Park in Ocala, that has this giant wound. The tree has this giant wound. It's been torn apart. And yet there it stands with its roots deep, fully exposed. It felt the pain and fully exposed. But it has deep roots, it's tall, and it still gives. It gives shade. It gives pleasure to those that need a place to be, little creatures. And that is like us too. Yes, we'll have the wound. We'll carry it. It'll be there. But also, as we move through that experience, we will get stronger. Our roots will be deeper. And we will still be able to be and give the love and the light that we are. That is my prayer for each and every one of us. Namaste.
Again with me, please. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rhonda. So I just have really brief announcements. Thank you for being here today. And a kind of just a quick reminder, if today in your walk you find someone who is pretty kind of out of sorts, remember they may be going through a hallway experience. Extend your grace to them because they would need, and we just keep doing that to one another. So a couple of announcements. First of all, I want to say to the people that are watching on Facebook and YouTube, please do us a favor. Even you, if you go home and you rewatch this, we are asking everyone to like and maybe even share our message, because we feel that Unity has something really special to offer. So I invite you to do that. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is that we are getting together as a committee very soon, I think it's not this week, but the next week, to begin to plan the phases of full reopening. And we're getting closer to that, but we need your support and your help. And you can do that for us by filling out the survey that is on the Weekly Wake Up. So go to the Weekly Wake Up, fill it out. It's anonymous. So I don't know who said what, and that's great, but I do need you to do that because that will give us more direction. And then finally, if you don't get Weekly Wake Up because you don't use, we have a lot of people in our community that don't use the technology, I'll get together with Michael and we'll see maybe if we could print a couple of those and leave them in the lobby for people to pick up on a Sunday. Finally, I want to acknowledge if you're a visitor here for the first time, I saw one before. Where are you? Oh, if you're here, maybe they stepped out, but anyway, you're always welcome here. We love and appreciate that you came here. I love you. Have a wonderful, terrific, fantastic week. The bookstore is open. I will go and meet you if you want to go out those doors in the back. I'll meet you there, and we exchange some love with one another. Have a great week. Bless you. Thank you.
I breathe in and know. I breathe out and let go. Here in my heart, that's the right place to start. I breathe. I breathe in to be. I breathe out and see what is true, right and real. I'm alive, I am healed. I just breathe here in this moment.